all the houses are different. You get grand houses and you get little fishermen's cottages, and we get us in a boathouse.
These 5 houses were artisans' cottages, and the whole idea of having something at the back was to have your workshop at the back. I love the feeling that they were people originally who made things.
Yeah. There used to be shops. There was a cobbler's next to the Bell and Crown, and he used to working in the window, and he'd always wave at you as you walked by. He was very friendly.
It was the time of the doodlebugs. Every night we had to come downstairs while the air raids were on. We came back in 1945 and number 5 had been bombed. But number 4 was still standing, so we moved in.
The river was so busy when I was little. There were tugs with lighters, 5 lighters, laden with coal and rubbish and wood and every sort of thing going upriver.
And the marvellous skill of the tugman. You had to swing around and go through Kew Bridge head on. If your barges swung out, they'd hit the piers, and he always got it dead right, didn't he? The most marvellous bit of seamanship.
We used to have sailing club meetings every month, and they took place in the Bell and Crown, and we took our knitting.
I have a vague recollection of a boatyard further down, which was thrilling to draw. That's gone.
It had gable ends and great big doors that opened up, and workmen used to come out and maintain boats on the stocks, go across the island.
It was a marvellous community in those days. Nobody had a great deal of money, and we all used to do things together, and everybody used to keep their front doors open.
We've realised well and truly that we're just custodians of this particular wonderful historic house, and we hope to pass it on to the next generation of owners in better shape than when we received it.
There was a Dr. Stock who lived here who was found floating unconscious in his bed.
He used to sleep on the ground floor, and the boatman next door came in one day and found him literally floating in his divan bed.
Captain Hallett. Do you remember him? Mm-hmm. He was very much a man of the river. He was always on his very, very dilapidated boat.
Ollie Taylor operated a ferry with a false moustache and a striped T-shirt.
He was a pirate, was he?
Yeah, he used to row everybody backwards and forwards.
When Mr. Epsi was there, he said, Miss Daksha, you are not Indian, you are not Hindu, you are not British either, but you are our community postmistress. And I really liked that comment.
What's the nice thing about living by the river?
Well, it's good to just go out and see where the river's flowing.
I think the reason so many painters have moved here, have worked here, because the light on this particular stretch of the river is just amazing and unique.
There's a lot of activity. It's only a small river in some ways, but it's a mighty river in other ways. There's always something to see on the river, whether it's the rowers early in the morning or little boats back and forth, or the weekly sailing regatta, which goes right outside our front door.
You can look for a quarter of an hour and something funny will come out of the river.
Don't you just love it the way the Egyptian ducks have taken over the boat outside the city barge?
We've seen seals, kingfishers.
In the first few months when we walked in, there was a sturgeon on the bank. A full-blown sturgeon. Whether it swam there, whether it was dumped there, I've no idea.
What animals have we found on the foreshore?
Crabs.
There's
crabs. Oh, and an eel.
We found an eel once. What else do we find under rocks?
Shrimps.
They're very wiggly, aren't they?
Yes. And a few sea snails.
We don't get the corpses any longer. The first few years we were here, we had 2 corpses on the bank outside the house. You could obtain instant popularity if you wanted a couple of people to love you. You used to create a crisis for the river police. Just seeing something float by looks a bit suspicious. They were so pleased to have something to do.
That's true. My children swim in the river in the summer, most days if it's hot and the tide is right, which is great. Yeah. But 3 or 4 times somebody has phoned the river police on their mobile to say there are children swimming in the river, and then the river police come bombing down and it causes a ruckus.
Hi, high tide used to come across the road at Strand End and at
Nancy's End.
Nancy's End.
Yes.
You can't go onto the towpath when it's high tide.
You don't like that?
All my shoes have tiny holes in them, that's why.
It's lovely when the tide does come in and it comes up to our second step and the towpath is completely covered and you feel as if you're on an island. And you have about 20 minutes of utter peace when nobody walks past.
There's something about the rhythm of the tide. There's a tussle, isn't there, between the incoming estuary water and the flow of the river coming down.
I have to say, I don't know whether I prefer it at low tide or at high tide because it's never the same.
What type of people walk up and down the towpath?
Lots of people. Not many children, though.
People say to me, but have you got people walking barrels? I mean, I said, it's all right because everybody is in a very good mood.
It's only the lycra cyclists that give me a panic attack.
Going down the towpath?
Yes, and the runners actually, who are the let's go and who, get terribly irritated with you.
I do enjoy sitting on my wall watching the joggers go past with a glass of wine and a cigarette in my hand.
There was one Sunday where about 6 guys on motorbikes turned up and sat outside the house looking ferocious, and they put the radio on one of the motorbikes, and I thought, I can't go out there, I'll just get in a fight. And Sarah, in great impatience with me, went outside and said, you wouldn't mind turning your radio down, would you? And they said, no, don't you like it? Oh, we're really sorry. Of course we'll turn it off. Of course we'll turn it off. Why didn't you say so before?
It's a wonderfully social business, walking a dog along there. One meets people, one sees what people are getting up to.
Eric jumps onto the wall and leans over.
And we call it paws over the wall.
And Mummy once joked that when he dies she's going to have him stuffed and just placed over the wall like that. Would that be funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
I was very sorry I wasn't here with all the Jubilee. I was away working. I was in New Orleans, and Bill said it was lovely along here.
I think when Jubilee time, I asked so many people actually, do you know who holds the country? And then somebody said, Labour or Conservative, and everybody says different. Then I said, no, the Queen, she holds the country,
We've worked for Fuller's for 37 years nearly, and this is our favourite. We love it here at the Bell and Crown.
Some people might think that we should be bothered by the pub next door and the activities associated with the pub, but that is categorically not the case.
Summer down in Strand on the Green, as you know, when the sun comes out, everyone flocks to the river.
Besides the fact that Frank and Geraldine are wonderful hosts at the pub, the crowd is a friendly crowd. In the summertime, they sit outside at the front of our place, and we think that's wonderful. I suppose the other complaint might be the aeroplane noise, and certainly if they do more with Heathrow, that wouldn't be a good thing for this entire neighbourhood.
The planes drive me crazy. It is a ludicrous place to have an airport.
Everybody has planes nowadays. Can't avoid it. Just hope it doesn't get worse. I have wonderful neighbours. Everybody was very supportive when we first arrived, very welcoming. It certainly has a sort of village feel.
Reminds me of home back in Ireland, where everybody knows everybody. Everybody cares for everybody.
We've lived in a couple of different countries and cities, and in this place we felt very much at home.
I mean, it's quite impossible to go up the road and post a letter and come back again, or without it taking half an hour or more, because you meet people all the time, and that's very, very nice.
You go down to the post office to Mrs. Joshi, and everybody meets in there, and we have a great old chinwag. And
local people, I like to talk with them. How's the weather, how's this and that, all kind of spiritual, religion, history. I don't want just people give me money and I give stamps. I don't want that relation, you know that.
I had just started antenatal classes. The girls love the river, as we all do, and then they nearly always go out to the local pubs or restaurant for lunch afterwards.
People sitting at tables cannot believe that one after another, pregnant women are walking in, looking $1 million, and sitting together. It's quite remarkable. It's like, my goodness, what's going on there? If they got, fertile seats in there or something.
I've become very involved since I became a local councillor in 19 90, and perhaps my finest hour was the re-inauguration of the drinking fountain at Strand End, when a class from the school helped me in my ceremonial robes as mayor, and we had a wonderful summer's day.
There's a wonderful mixture. I mean, a wonderful mixture. If you need anything, there are several houses I know I could knock on the door.
If you've spent a number of years overlooking water, it remains with you for the rest of your life.
I have a photograph that's been taken by the boy that used to help me in the garden. He took the whole of the Strand on the Green. It's done with sellotape and everything, but I get it out with my makeup and put it round my dressing room. People always come and say, what have you got? And I said, that's my cottage in the middle of it.
Every morning I wake up, I look out of the window and I think, this is heaven.
My daughter, Tamsin, was 7 years old then.
Yeah, I do.
And after 2 weeks of living here, she said, Daddy, are we still on holiday?
As long as I remember, I've been living here.
Since the day you were born?
Yes.
Are you going to live here forever?
Yes.